discussion right now, and the topic is the power of representation, amplifying women's voices in tech. So ladies and gentlemen, our moderator is Uma Devi. So please let us welcome Uma Devi on stage, please. She is the head of Site Reliability Engineering Practice Delivery at HSBC. And we have our panelists with us. Let us invite Gumathi, the Vice President of Software Services, Unity Solutions Private Limited. Then we have Dilpreet Sethi, Manager of People Business Partner, Avriok Technologies. And we would like to welcome Mary Pettler, the founder of Input Communications. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll be starting with the panel discussion. I request our coordinators to please arrange for the seats.
Hello everybody. I think we are all kind of exhausted hearing too much of technology. So now let's listen to something which is non-technical, which is also equally important, right, for us to drive our technology initiatives. And that's why we are here to talk through. No, we don't need it. Yeah, so I think it's a slightly different format, although it's a panel. We have a few statistics to share based on the topic that's been given to us. So we thought we'll use it as go through the slides one by one, and then maybe we can take questions from each one of you. So welcome to listen to more about women empowerment and women's role in technology. We'll start with Dilpreet, then with Gomati, then myself, and last Mary, to share our views on this topic. I'm happy to take questions from all of you.
Hello everyone. I hope you had a great lunch and networking session. I hope I'm audible. Can we have a yes or no? Yes. Alright, this was just to ensure that our voices don't get unnoticed or overlooked. Alright, so before we start the session, I'm Dilpreet and we have a fellow panelist who will be walking us through or shedding light on the representation of women. How do we amplify their voices in the tech industry? Before we move forward, sorry for the inconvenience, I guess they are working out the presentation. Allow us some time. to fix this to amplify our voices? Until then, let's just play a small quiz. So, any guess on what's the representation of women in the tech industry? We're near to that. Anyone more guess? Okay, we'll look at the slides to have the answer then. We'll talk both. It's overall tech.
Sorry, I think they have some technical issue to get hold of the presentation. By the time they come back with it, maybe you can just throw the topic back to the audience here. Happy to hear from you. It's more about, it's not about women empowerment as such. It's about the women's role in technology, how women can add value in the technology space. So I know it's a hot topic across all organizations. You keep hearing about diversity things. So maybe we can throw the question back to the dais here by the time they fix the presentation thing. Maybe from each one of your organization, can someone pinpoint the initiatives that your organization is taking to improve the role of women in technology, to improve the performance, not just in terms of number, not just in terms of statistics, in terms of the initiatives, core initiatives that are being picked up? Anybody who would be interested to speak? Yes, please. JD?
So we make these initiatives to be a little more to try and balance the gender ratio in the office. That's the first objective of doing that. We do face a few challenges once. So in my previous organization, I built a 15-strong women engineering team. Right? They did data analytics and they got certified. There were a few challenges that we faced because which I was going to pose as a question to you all, of how an organization should actually deal with that. But we do definitely try, and I find that it's a lot easier to hire women for workforce because they are a lot more honest when they come to what they say on their resume versus what they actually know, as opposed to hiring a male candidate who generally believes that they know more than what they actually know, right? So that's why we found that it's much easier, and that we get we know we've hired the right person when we hired a woman over a man in our organization. So that's one of the initiatives of us. And then if I could pose a question to you guys, and feel free to answer, right? I mean, see, what we've understood is that when we usually hire women, as time goes on and women begin to start families and priorities begin to change, it becomes a really challenging effort for the organization to support that, right? It's challenging. So we're very, very easy with the maternity leaves and if there's any additional support. But then we found that we had a very good candidate. She was not getting much support from her family because they were like, oh, now you should be looking after your family, you should not be working. We gave her options and look, just work from home, do whatever you have to do to keep your family happy. But there was nothing that we could do, and eventually she resigned. So what advice do you guys have for organizations like us to deal with something like that?
Thank you. Sure.
I come from Business Solver India. We are a Chicago-based company in US healthcare. And post-COVID, I think it is a good opportunity for all the working women with the flexibility we are giving, especially Business Solver is promoting, like we give working women flexible hours to work. And I think it's not about women empowerment or as we heard earlier also, every people are equal, they have equal capabilities. It's just giving more flexibility to women since they are doing both housework, managing the family. So giving them flexible hours and getting out their capability is where we find it's more helpful post-COVID with the work from home model. Thank you.
I think they were quite insightful and I would say empathetic. At least people realize the situations and are keen about or are clear about what are the kind of situations that women employees are generally exposed to. So I think we can hear more from Dilpreet. She's an HR professional, so she clearly understands the nuances of these things. So let's hear from her further. We'll come back to the points that have been called out, especially the element of honesty, which sorry, I didn't get your name. The element of honesty that you mentioned, I think we really need to hear more about that when we go through our presentation. Thank you. Dilpreet, over to you.
Thank you. All right, so we had responses saying 40%, 29%, whereas the answer is 33% of the workforce represents women employees in any tech industry. Moving forward, well, there's a lot of technical glitch, I guess. Presentation is not working. No. We'll have to do that now. I'm just waiting for a last try because there are a lot of stats around that we'd like to show. Yes, this is worldwide. Yes. Anyhow, until they get the presentation back to the original mode, let's just talk more. So while we see that the technology, the industries are expanding, they are exploding and hiring new talent in this entire space, we also know that the industries like the CGP products, wearables, hardware, software are hiring more of women workforce now. But again, the gender diversity gap is too much, and we all still rename this tech industry as only the boys' club. So where is gender diversity? We have few facts around. Let's just talk. It's not working. So 50% of our female associates, they leave their jobs by the age of 35 because of the lack of job advancement opportunities that they could get, or because of the lack of support that organizations could extend to them. We have 50% women who report harassment at workplace, and only 20% of this gets reported and addressed. Our female founders get only 2% of the VC funding. Well, I'm not playing with the presentation, I guess. Women make up to only 47% of the workforce in US. Amazon itself has only 45% of the female representation of their workforce, whereas it's 29% at Microsoft. The representation of women in the tech industry has only increased by 1% until 2022. Women have only 28% of chances to become a manager as compared to 40% of men. Further, the average salary of women employees is $15,000 less than what a man earns, and 38% of these women are complaining about their salaries. They're not happy with them. 30% of women over 35 are still in their junior roles, whereas it's only 5% of the male industry. 52% of the diverse women in tech rate their work-life balance as extremely poor. 4 startups out of 1 is only for female associates. 80% of women are promoted to manager for every 100 men. Surprising figures? Indeed. So we still have a gap in the gender diversity here. How do we fix this? We have some market strategies that I'd like to navigate. And further, we'll also talk about some practices adopted by organizations that are certified Great Place to Work for women. Some strategies that could work: networking, skill baiting, and experience sharing for females, mentorship program for their career progression and advancement, visibility and representation. Today we have a beautiful platform here where all the females in this panel are going to represent and talk about how we can amplify women's voice in tech industry. Providing them education and training at an early age, encouraging them to adopt technology and indulge in STEM courses or coding languages. Advocacy and allyship, it has to be organic, guys. We just can't expect women to have a representation without your support. It has to come from each of us. Create an environment which is inclusive, which has belongingness, which is diverse. Have that environment which is organic in nature and which encourages females to step up into different positions and have a good career ahead. Investment and funding, provide them access to the sources, have funding opportunities for them, give them the platform to become women entrepreneurs, encourage their support. Communication and collaboration, encourage in meaningful communication, create a more inclusive, healthy environment, indulge in a dialogue, have open communication, be transparent in your approaches. Some great practices that we can embrace in any organization would be offering them equal pay and benefits. Yes, there are definite benefits, but then still not enough. Leadership development programs. We have beautiful programs like Ken Blanchard Situational Leadership. Enroll your female associates in that. That will help them step up into their career ladders. Representation and decision making. Have women representation in executive committees and different employee resource groups. Let them make a say. Let them make a decision. Zero tolerance for harassment and discrimination. Diverse hiring practices, indulge in blind screening. Give them the opportunity to come back after their maternity and join their career back. Give women who have a career gap, come back to their roles. Professional development opportunities, chart out their career ladders, tell them what's in store for them. Tell them what's in there, after 5 years, where do they see themselves in the organization? There has to be a roadmap for them. You can't just make them work and have no career opportunities for them. Regular feedback and recognition. This is one platform where we are being recognized, so definitely, please have more such platforms. A very beautiful story that I'd like to share. This is a real life example, guys. When the COVID struck, my mother, who runs a school, was unable to carry it out. She was a non-tech savvy person, but today she embraced the technology by saying age is just a number. She ran her school through WhatsApp. She took examinations, she enrolled the classes, she encouraged students to come online and participate in the creative lessons, etc. But she didn't do this alone. This was support that my dad extended to her, and this was unconditional support. I guess women out there, please embrace this beautiful journey of women empowerment and just be what you want to be, because you have everything in you. So aspire and dream and accomplish. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. I think the topic of amplifying our own voices, the systems actually muffled our voices, ironically. Sorry for the delay. Okay, so I'm Gomati Vishwanathan and I'm from Chennai, India. And at Unity Solutions, I guide teams in creating wonderful software products and services. And personally, I am very, very strong believer that the empathy and genuine compassion as a woman that I bring to the table adds values in making sure that every interaction we have is fruitful and makes the world a better place for each and one of us. Now, coming to the topic, the theme amongst us we have chosen that I would be covering is certain self-strategies that as a woman we can take to make ourselves heard better and looking at the immediate influence of the circle that we have. So, getting on to the topic straight. how many of us who are women here, despite our strides, we feel that we are still not being heard? I think most of us do have that feeling in a corner of our minds that still we are not being heard to the extent we have to be heard. And the reason for this, in my perspective, is that though as societies and as organizations, we are consciously making sure that there is no gender disparity and we're making sure that the socio-cultural stereotyping is getting, removed as far as possible. There is the fact of the matter that women still need to really do multitasking, have much more responsibilities at the home front, at the personal front, which inevitably makes women challenged in terms of time and travel. So they have a disadvantage, which is a practical disadvantage. So what are the measures that we as individual women can take? So I was just trying to put my thoughts to it here. So if we look at the circles in which we are all bound by, it is our individual selves, then our immediate families, then we have the academics and the organizations, then we have at the broader level the society and the governments. Now, just looking at certain simple strategies for women to move from self-doubt to self-care and self-attainment. I think the very first problem that we face as women is that with self-doubt being in forefront of our minds, we either become too loud and sound like we are being bossy, or we just shut down. I think we should strike the right balance there, and to strike the right balance, I think the fundamental aspect is that for us to be heard, we have to be relevant and we have to be on top of the game. And for this, naturally, it progresses into sharpening our technical acumen. So as women, we should consciously make sure that we take the right steps, we hone our technical skills and move in the right direction. And then we have to move on to finding inspiration, drawing inspiration from around us. We have socio-cultural, historical women who have achieved so much in the past. Right to, even in the morning discussions, we were talking about Turing, but nobody spoke about Lady Ada Lovelace, who was also is considered as the world's first computer programmer, woman programmer. So to, modern day technical evangelists, there are so many women out there who are proving. Leave alone, in the technical space, even in the common day-to-day life. Down the street, we have a women seller, we have house helps who have their own bucket list of issues and still they are achieving. So drawing inspiration is an important aspect for any woman. And we should look at being inspirational to our daughters, to our students, to our junior colleagues. So we have to set our targets correct. And amidst all this, women tend to, forget about self-care. And what happens is that women get burnt out easily, their EQs get challenged. And once they take the conscious efforts to make sure that they take proper self-care, then they are able to, speak up in a more coherent and a more relevant manner. Now, as a toolkit for women to be more heard, quote unquote, in the technical industry, I think the power map that I can see is you start with building your technical acumen, then look at community supports that are available. It can be, a simple local community support to, LinkedIn kind of specific channels. Other important thing is to look out for mentors and sponsors within the organization who can guide you, support you, and look at online and offline networking opportunities. And as women, never shy away from grabbing opportunities that present to you. Coming to technology industry specifically, so I was blueprint for women who want to dive into technology. There are various opportunities, avenues for women. When it comes to research and development, women can easily capitalize their mindset of dedication. And a lot of governments, like in the Indian government, they have schemes like Serve Power, Wise Kiran, and so on. I'm sure almost all governments are going in that direction now. Women can capitalize and prove a mark in that. When it comes to MarTech, I think women are natural communicators. Women know how to explain and teach things because they do it for their children. So it comes naturally. So explaining about a product and expanding about its capabilities is something that they can do naturally. And project management, yeah, I'm sure women have their innate abilities to run households and manage things. And technology, of course. To do all this, they have to look at the correct channels that they have to tune into and make a mark. And similarly, quality assurance and compliance, these are areas where women can, capitalize on remote working abilities and work as individual contributors. Then, of course, I'm just touching upon family in particular because family matters is something that is very, very important. Many women, I think they tend to not explain or share their career ambitions with their family members, and there are also family members who have a lot of insecurities that come in the way of women being encouraged. So the moment women try to explain it out to the family members and try to tap into the correct people set within, there's going to be of immense help to women. When it comes to the broader academics and organization, my co-panelists will be sharing more on that. They have shared already. My only 2 cents in that is that organizations and academics should understand that women have creativity, multitasking ability, and their motherly nature that's going to come a great way in their contributing. And what women need is not preferential treatment, it is more of a level playground so that they can shine as natural, contributors. Concludingly, I would like to say that as women, we should avoid getting intimidated easily, and we should ensure that we are able to go for it and not overseek validation. Because as women, we are wired to seek validation and get intimidated very easily. So let's work on our EQs also as an individual. So these are the strategies at an individual level that I wanted to share specifically. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we heard quite insightful information from Gomati and Dilpreet on the general stats around women employment in different industries. I come from a digital transformation background, and having managed quite a few implementations in that space in the last 22 years. I wanted to bring the value, the value of collaboration and how women can add value there. The principle of collaboration and how, because collaboration is something which is an extremely important element for any digital transformation initiatives to be successful. So it's a space where women have their own strengths, their own skill sets, which can actually add value. And that's something which I wanted to demonstrate through a couple of slides here. So I think digital transformation, I know we have, one of the days we have a few speakers who are going to go through more in detail on the digital transformation topic. But I think the fundamental thing which we need to understand when it comes to any transformation is a close alignment between business and technology. And that is where I'm just trying to help, to share some information, share some insights around how business and technology needs to be aligned when it comes to any transformation initiative and how women can contribute towards that. So I'm borrowing some stats, courtesy MuleSoft. They have done some research, some surveys in the past, and came up with some interesting information on this topic. what were the key driving factors behind IT and business alignment? Do you agree to the aspect that business and IT needs to be aligned, first of all? Exactly. So to arrive at that conclusion, there was some research that this organization had done to understand the need, the key drivers behind IT and business to be aligned. So you can see some of the elements there. The key drivers or the key reasons behind, the trigger behind the alignment. Of course, the need for greater productivity, the need for faster innovation, the need to improve collaboration, which is one of the topic, the basic topic that I'm trying to cover in this slides. The need to respond to COVID-19. So by the way, this research was done post-COVID-19, so that's why that became one of the key drivers there, because people did suffer, industries did suffer because of non-alignment related issues. Desire to reduce costs. I think that's one of the major drivers, right? I'm sure most of you will agree to that, right? Because technology, IT decides on certain things, but business pulls it down, right? In terms of prioritization, they kind of pull down the focus around it, saying that's not business focus. So that's exactly one of the drivers behind. And the need to improve customer experience, which is extremely important, and drive from the leadership team. Basically, the agenda driven from the top. So what the graph speaks is, as you can see, from almost all the drivers, what technology speaks and what business speaks is almost the same in terms of percentages. So there is a need clearly, even if you look at IT and business silo-wise, they are talking the same thing. That's what this graph says. Okay, so these were the key drivers behind, for organizations to start focusing on initiatives like digital transformation to make sure that business and IT is aligned and we have the right kind of output from those initiatives. So I just wanted to show the statistics around that. How many of you agree with the point there? Some actions taken for alignment, reduce or eliminating organizational silos. It's essential, right? It's the basic thing which is required. Some teams have to be aligned, the teams need to stop working as silos. Right? They have to work collaboratively, they have to work together. So that was one of the action that was expected out of all these statistics that people decided to focus on. Automation initiatives, the key thing, right? We definitely need to improve on productivity. Integration of IT and business agenda. I think it's pretty straightforward. And last but not the least, the topic which I was touching upon, digital transformation, right? So, let me just quickly go around. And by taking these actions, there has been a lot of benefits that some of the industries who have already acted on these have come across, and you can see some of the improvement in those percentages there compared to what it was in the past. I think before they started taking these actions, something it was in the range of 20 to 25%. They've been able to lift it up to 50 plus by doing this. We are still way behind. Not every organization has hit these numbers, but it's important that we focus on these things. And that takes me to my next slide on how women can add value to these. So we saw the technology focus in general. What are the areas which technology generally focuses, right? Today's technology focus in terms of their investments, in terms of their initiatives. Of course, to build better security solutions. AI and machine learning is, of course, the core focus nowadays. Data analytics, yes. Microservices, and of course, API monetization. All these are hardcore technology investments which are happening in today's world. Now, what business gets out of this? What business looks from all these things? Operational efficiency, clear? You give them 1,000 tools. If it's not going to be effective operationally, they're not bothered. They're just not interested. If their processes remain to be complex, business processes, they're not interested in those tools. You give them anything. Consumer behavior. Ultimately, who's the user there? The customers, right? And if the customers are not able to use those technology or it's not aligned with their expectations, it fails. Creating value chain, somewhat related to the previous bullet point, right? Unless you have benefits coming out of these, nobody's interested to invest. Data driven, extremely important, right? Any initiative, any business decision is based on data. So if they don't get the right kind of data, it's not going to help them. Now in all these things, as you can see, the left-hand side bar is actually leading, or it is supposed to be helping business in driving those 5 elements on the right-hand side, right? Now how does women's strengths or women's basic skill sets help to fix these things or to fix the gaps? I wanted to touch upon some of the qualities, some of the innate qualities in women, which can help you drive this alignment between technology and business. Empathetic approach. How many of you agree to that? Women are strong in that. No offense to the male colleagues here. Just wanted to call out some of the key strengths and females which organizations should be banking upon to drive their digital transformation initiatives. Women are genetically tuned to be more empathetic. It's not my opinion, it's a proven fact, scientifically proven fact. Inclusive thinking. Agreed? Customer friendly and understanding. Why do you see so many receptionists or front-end employees more of females? Have you ever thought about it? Again, no offense, please. It's again because females are genetically tuned. They are more, to deal with the customers, to be more empathetic. They're more sober. They understand people. They are more, the previous point, inclusive thinking. They try to approach people more sensibly. Sorry if I don't use the wrong word. Effective communication. Again, a strength which generally females possess. Social. Who are more social in general? Females. Sure. Maybe I'll complete and then I'll come back to you. I'm happy to listen. Yeah. But in general, women are considered to be more socially friendly, and that's why the impact of having a virtual community and driving it properly to drive to ensure that there are aligned conversations happening with people. Statistics have proven that women stand better in those areas. Organized approach. Maybe one quick example. Most of the secretaries that we have, the EAs we have, are females. It's primarily because it comes from this quality. They know how to organize things better. So the point I'm trying to say here is, these qualities which women generally possess will really help you to have a very collaborative conversation between technology and business, and to drive your digital transformation initiative, or any transformation initiative for that matter, to make it successful. A clean handshake. Okay? So that's the point I just wanted to communicate. I would strongly request or recommend organizations to bank upon these qualities in female employees that will really help them to drive their transformation agenda. You want to take your opinion now, or maybe end? Yeah, please. Back to the slide here, sure. It's gone. Mm-hmm. Okay. Absolutely. No, I completely agree. As I said earlier, it is not about excluding, it's about banking on some of the incremental strengths which women employees generally possess. And that will actually help organizations to drive their initiatives. And it is good for us to realize the values that people bring in. I think one of the key problems that we have been facing, at least in most of the assignments that I've had in the industry that I've worked, you don't realize, you don't try to assess the actual skill set or strength of your people. You just go and designate some role to them and you expect them to deliver. When it doesn't match with their core skills, it doesn't match with their core strengths. So it will be good if you are able to assess what our people possess, and this applies to everybody, it's not just limited to women, it's even across board, right? Anybody for that matter. We really need to understand what values that person can contribute to the role and accordingly assign the role to the person. And this is something just, given that we're talking on women empowerment or women representation, it will be nice to understand what values your women employees can bring on the table and then accordingly give them the right roles. Okay?
Roman, can you hear me well? Many thanks to the previous panelists who gave a lot of statistics, and I would like to present the topic in a more, like, let's say, positive way and share my own experience in working in a man-centered world of tech. Just to remind about myself, my name is Mary and I'm the founder of Input Communications, which is a Dubai-based PR agency, and we're working mostly with technological companies, and my agency consists of like 90% of female employees. So I was always very skeptical when I was seeing like the panels and keynotes about discussing women in tech, amplifying women in tech. For me, everything was quite obvious. Like I was always thinking that men have more, like, better analytical skills, and it's easier for them to go deeper into technical stuff and to manage business and to stay more cold-blooded. And I'm a very social person, and I have a lot of like male friends. And one night I was sitting with my male friends, and we were discussing the topic of intelligence and the difference between men and women. And for me, everything was quite obvious, that men have more like, skills to run business successfully. And to my surprise, the rest people in the room, which were like 4 or 5 my male friends, they were saying the opposite things. So we argued a lot, and now you don't need to argue, right? You just Google things, you come to some arguments, and now we have a more sophisticated technology as ChatGPT. So we asked ChatGPT, and our prompt was, what are the differences between men and women in terms of cognitive skills? So let me read the answer of ChatGPT. Men and women generally have similar cognitive skills, but there are some differences. First point, verbal abilities. Women often outperform men in verbal tasks, particularly in language fluency and usage. So the first point goes to women. Spatial abilities. Men often perform better in spatial tasks, like visualizing objects in 3 dimensions. So this point goes to men, but what it is about? Basically, it is about estimating distance, fixing equipment, and doing engineering stuff. So nothing to do with business, right? The third one is mathematical skills. No consistent gender difference, depends on task complexity and training. So the point goes to both genders. And number 4 is memory. So ChatGPT is saying that women tend to have better episodic memory, especially verbal memory. So, of course, there are some cultural aspects and the mission in our head to keep the household and be responsible for family's duties. But by the end of the day, we have the same abilities or even more capabilities to run business, to build big brands, to keep up with stress and be more empathetic with people and especially employees. So the only enemies that we have, girls, are us. And as I said, I run a business which consists like 90% of female, and don't perceive me as a sexist. That was not done for a reason, it's just happening like this. And feedback that I receive always from people during the last 3 years as we're on the market is that we're the most easygoing team, and it's quite easy to work with us. So we have a very friendly environment, we have flexible hours, we don't have any hierarchy in the company, and at the same time everyone is very responsible. We're always meeting KPIs, we don't miss the deadlines, and I think this is because we're mostly consist of girls who are very kind and empathetic together with us. So, and at the same time we work in the male-dominant industry. So how do we keep up with this? And I got an answer. Working with men partners, and by partners I mean clients and contractors, is the most smooth process that we ever experienced, and because they listen to women more carefully, they respect them, and then they don't need to show their power, as so the process is more smooth than if it could be a man-man dialogue. And recently we have joined another very challenging industry, which is Islamic finance and Islamic banking, where founders of the companies are mostly like men who are very deeply into religion, Islam, and here we feel even more respect. So men are in position where they trust you their reputation and the reputation of their companies. So again, the only enemy is us, and I hope to inspire young girls and to get rid of the myths, and the real world is really open for new female talents. Thank you.